We have a lot of new people. We are thrilled to show you Windows 8. Now, we don't want you to think of Windows 8 as just the next version of Windows. This is much bigger. This is what we call Windows fundamentally reimagined, from the chipset to the user experience. What we've taken is the power of all the devices that you use today, your laptops and your tablets, merged them together with the power of Windows to bring you an experience that you probably have never seen before. Well, except for those who've seen Windows 8 before. So with that, let me get going with some of these machines. Let me talk about the machines we have here. We have a tablet machine here. This is similar to the hardware we gave out at our build conference. It's running our build from that conference. And then I have a laptop here as well that's going to be running some newer bits, and then another tablet that's also running some newer bits. But let me show you what we're talking about when we talk about Windows 8. So what I have here is the tablet. The first thing you'll see is it's a beautiful way to start my experience. And just from the beginning, we talked about touch first, and we're not kidding, because the first thing you do is just touch this machine, and you'll see I've actually customized my tablet here with what we call the picture password. And so instead of typing a password, I can just have an interesting gesture that I have, and so I'm just going to log in a really fun way by if I can do this. Let's try that again. There we go. So it's a really fun way to kind of log in. And what you'll notice is when I start my tablet, my Windows 8 experience, I'm not brought to the desktop as I was before. Instead, I'm brought to this really rich, immersive start screen that we talk about. And what's exciting about the start screen is, before I've ever used an application, before I've ever started an application, Windows is already speaking to me. My apps are already speaking to me. And so you'll notice, I can already see I've mailed from my friend Anshul. I already know what's next on my calendar. I'm seeing the next thing on my feed. I see what the weather is in Anaheim, and so without even doing anything, just starting the machine, I'm already aware of what's going on around me. And to get around the start screen is super simple. It's fluid, and you can just navigate to your heart's content here. And of course, these are the apps, these are the websites, these are the people that I care about, that I want to remain connected to. And so here, for example, I see one of my favorite apps, Cut the Rope. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this one. It's available on lots of different platforms here, and here we have it for Windows 8. And what's exciting about this is our friends at Cut the Rope actually use the latest Windows web development platform to make this in HTML and JavaScript. So it's really easy for them to take the rich experience that they had and bring it to Windows 8. So it's a really easy way for developers to build on Windows. Now, let me actually just show you play the game. Again, you probably have seen the game before. For those who haven't, it's really a lot of fun. And it's, again, a great touch experience, and so the first level is really simple. I'm just going to cut this off, and it's super simple. Now, one thing you may notice while I'm playing the game is that there's no Chrome. Typically what Windows has is what we call the non-client area. There's an X button, there's some glass Chrome around the edge. That's all gone. What we've done is we've empowered the developer to have the app just shine. Because it's really about the apps. And so the question is, how do you get to the traditional Windows things that you do all the time? And all you do really simply is you swipe from the right side and you bring up what we call the Windows charms. And these are the things that Windows does for you in a consistent and dependable way. But you notice we don't force that on the app because we want the app to shine in all its glory. Now, let's say I want to collect more apps. That's really simple. We have the Microsoft Store. And the Microsoft Store is just a great way to discover a lot of applications that we have in our store. Now, it's similar to the experience that you see before. You see the scroll, you'll see Cut the Rope is there, but I already have it. But let's talk about these apps. I'll just share some stats with you. We have about 1.25 billion PCs around the world running Windows. We expect about 400 to 500 million PCs to be sold within the next 12 months. So the question is not, are you going to build an Windows 8 app? The question is, when are you going to build it? And as soon as possible, of course, because the reach is unparalleled to any other platform out there. You just have a bunch of people hungry for your apps. And so that's quickly looking at our build demo on a tablet device. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, that's great, that's awesome, I love touch, I love tablets, but hey, I have a traditional laptop, or I have a desktop, I have a mouse and keyboard. What does Windows 8 do for me? And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you this other machine. It's running a slightly newer version of Windows 8 than what you'd seen before. And the first thing you'll notice is I can personalize my lock screen. In this case, my start screen, in this particular case, I have a different background. You see the time. time, and immediately, without even getting to my machine, I notice things that are going on. So for example, I see some notifications, I see I have 5 new mail messages, I have calendars, I have messages, and again, Windows is all about bringing this information to you with the least amount of effort. Now in this tablet, if you remember, I touched it to kind of start. In this case, since I'm not going to use touch, all I do is just press enter and get to a traditional kind of lock screen, and I'm going to type in my password. And again, I go to my start screen. In this particular case, you notice I've personalized it differently on this machine, and you'll notice things look differently. I have a different background, different set of apps. And what I want you to, what we want to first talk about is, whereas we had touch and it was really effortless to pan, well now I'm going to just use my mouse. And so to move and pan around start, you'd imagine, of course, you could use a scroll bar. That's kind of a no-brainer. But we want to do something better. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use any buttons. There's nothing off my sleeves. All I'm going to do is take my mouse and I'm going to move it to the right edge of the screen. You'll notice the mouse, the start screen just responds, and it's just actually a really fast way to pan without having to use touch. But let's say I even want to get there faster, and sometimes you just want to take stock of your start screen, because this is the place. Remember we told you about these 400 to 500 million PCs, all these great apps that are going to come out for Windows. You can imagine this thing getting really long, and we want to make sure it's not unwieldy. And so what we did was we wanted to provide a really easy way for you to just step back and take stock. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use control on my scroll wheel, and I'm going to just zoom out. So it's really easy to zoom in, to pan, and to zoom out. And once I'm in this view, I can actually grab some of these groups, and relocate them. So it's super simple to view my apps and to customize them. And then I can easily just click and just get into one of the app groups itself. But let's say I want to kind of go in and customize this a little more. So here I have the eBay app, and just like you'd expect, I could just grab it. There are no tricks. I just grab it and I can move it wherever I want. This is easy. I could try to pan this way, which is fine, which will work. Or what I could do is I can just take, again, with one hand, I have my hand on the mouse, just take this app to the bottom, and automatically Windows will know what I want to do, that I want to zoom out, and I can just go to the end of the list. So really fast, really fluid, with the mouse as well, because we want to touch, mouse, and keyboard to work that effortlessly well together. Speaking of the keyboard, so I've showed you touch, I've showed you mouse. Let's say I wanted to get to an application. Now we've showed you a lot of Metro-style apps, but what about good old-fashioned and dependable Excel? So again, I don't have to bring up any special UI. I'm already in the start screen. All I do is type in E, X, and here I have Explorer, and just like you'd expect, this is the Windows 7 desktop. And it's kind of advanced in Windows 8, but initially it's the familiar desktop that you know and love that runs all your applications. And here's Excel. It works just like you'd expect it to do. Here's the taskbar. But we want you to live, and we understand that there's going to be this plethora of different types of apps. So let's say I go back to Start, and I launch, the video app, and I have this cool video, extreme paragliding. And so I'm watching this video, and these worlds, or these apps, all live together really effortlessly. And so I could use something like Alt-Tab, which I love, and I could easily go between Excel and this Metro-style app, so I'm not compromising anything. But we thought about it, and we said, there's one thing to switch, but really, the best way to switch is when you just move your eyes. You don't have to touch anything. How would you do that? Well, it's simple. All I do is, I can grab this parasailing app, and I can snap it to the left edge, which is really easy. Or I can take it, and I can snap it to the right edge. And so it's a really easy way for me to use the desktop with these Metro-style apps. And when we say use the desktop, we really mean it. Here, let me launch PowerPoint, and I could use this. I could even snap PowerPoint and use these guys while I'm using this Metro-style app. So there really is no compromise. You can use all the things, all the best parts of the desktop you love, as well as this whole new world with Windows 8.